7 weeks after the fall of Bashar al-Assad, Syria still faces uncertainty over its future as the transition government attempts to bring order to a country racked by more than 13 years of civil war. But Syrians are also looking to the past and for answers about the fate of loved ones who disappeared under the Assad regime or during the war. My guest today is Robert Petit, head of the International Impartial and Independent Mechanism investigating serious crimes in Syria. The mechanism was established by the United Nations in December 2016 to investigate crimes committed in the country. Good morning, Robert, and thank you for joining us. Can I ask you first, how has the recent change of government in Syria affected the workings of the International Impartial and Independent Mechanism's work?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. What it has is that it has potentially opened up a source of evidence against the regime and its allies that was heretofore not available. It has led to hope that a fulsome accountability for crimes committed in Syria since March 2011 is within reach.
Now, with regard to evidence, there are, I imagine, challenges that the big figures such as Bashar al-Assad in the regime managed to get out, but quite a lot of people who worked for him are still there, and you imagine they would have quite a lot to lose if anything were to be exposed. Is there a problem with evidence actually being tampered with or destroyed?
Well, there's ample evidence that already some of those perpetrators or those fearing accountability did destroy a lot of evidence before fleeing. We have multiple evidence of sites, files being burnt, hard drives being crushed, and evidence being stolen. We also have evidence of evidence being tampered with or disappeared through well-meaning individuals seeking answers for their own questions and victimization. So there's no doubt that a lot of evidence has been lost. There's also no doubt that since we're talking about a state that for the past 13 years has been using all its apparatus to commit crimes, there will be also ample evidence left over, but we need to be very active in preserving that evidence.
And do you also think it's a challenge where we've seen examples of certain figures who worked for the regime have been rebranding themselves as opposition figures since the fall of Bashar al-Assad? Have you encountered any problems in that particular way?
Well, right now we're focused on trying to get access from the caretaker authorities so that we can go in and help others, because this is going to be no one entity, no one person, no one organization will be able to do this, but go in and try and start mapping what is left of evidence and how to best use that evidence through transitional justice process.
And you visited Syria for the first time as the head of the IIIM in December. How did that visit go?
Since the creation of the mechanism, every year we had access, we had asked access to the country, never gotten an answer from the previous regime. When we did get the answer, we did go as soon as we could. And it was very sobering. First of all, to see the hope and at the same time the anxiety of Syrians about the future was very, very emotional. And the visit overall, the engagement was positive. We found the caretaker authorities, at least the representatives we met, receptive to the idea of the IIIM being able to discharge its mandate in Syria and to help bring justice. We're still awaiting a formal answer to be able to formally deploy, because that's what we need in terms of our work. We're hopeful that this is going to happen, but time is of the essence, and I'm hoping for a positive answer very quickly.
And how does the mechanism intend to ensure that those responsible for crimes are actually brought to justice?
Our mechanism is mandated to help build files and support prosecutions from current jurisdictions, and we have supported prosecutions of over 200 in different cases in 16 different jurisdictions for the last 8 years, and to also our mandate to prepare for future jurisdiction. That future jurisdiction is now in sight. The Syrians will decide what they want in terms of justice, and if it meets our international standards, it's justice that we could support. We have files, we have evidence, we have the technical and the experience. We were created for this moment, and I'm hoping that as soon as we can get access, we can start reaching that hope.
And do you get a sense that Syrians would prefer the trials to be held within its own jurisdiction ultimately?
I think there's a very strong national ownership will for this process, as there is in all the jurisdictions that I've worked with. And I think, in my personal opinion, it's the best way forward. You want justice to be dispensed where the crimes have happened, by and in front of the victims, by the society itself, to have the best possible opportunity to really engage and provide the truth to the people. So I think it's going to have, however, there's going to have to be a lot of choices made by Syrian. This has to be Syrian led, and they have to decide what justice looks like for them. And part of that must be criminal accountability, certainly for those most responsible. But again, it should be decided by them, and hopefully we'll be able to assist.
And just as was the case in previous conflicts, it was not solely one party that committed crimes. Is the current transitional government likely to cooperate sufficiently with crimes investigated that were committed by anti-government forces?
Well, we have one of the I in the triple IM is independent and impartial. The other one, we have and will continue to discharge our mandate in an impartial manner. We have a mandate to investigate and help prosecute crimes committed in Syria since March 2011. Full stop. That's what we'll continue to do. Right now, we're focused on this opportunity that nobody thought could be possible, of having access to evidence against, arguably, those most responsible for all the crimes committed in Syria since March 11, who set the stage for all the other crimes to happen after that. So that's what we're focusing on, and we're hoping, as I said, to be able to engage quickly in doing so.
Now, clearly, the fact that you couldn't access Syria for the last 8 years has been an impediment, but is there also an advantage in the sense that you've managed to get quite a lot of the groundwork done before getting into the country?
Indeed. As I said, we've developed, first of all, we've amassed over 283 terabytes of data regarding the crimes committed in Syria through mostly very productive relationship with civil society, Syrian civil society, who have been documenting their victimization since the very beginning, at the risk of their own lives, oftentimes, and at the cost of it. So we've amassed an incredible amount of data. We've also developed an expertise in these cases, an understanding of a structural understanding of how these crimes were committed. So we have the foundation, we have the case files, we have the evidence, we have the expertise, we have the means, and hopefully we can put all of that towards, finally, justice for Syria.
And have you set any particular targets or deadlines for the first prosecutions?
Well, as I said, we're not a tribunal. Obviously, we don't arrest or prosecute anyone. What we will do is support prosecutions, investigations and prosecutions, as we have done outside of Syria in 16 different jurisdictions. We'll continue to support these cases, and not only regime-related, but Daesh cases and all those who have committed crimes in Syria. But hopefully, when Syrians decide what form accountability will take place in Syria, then we'll be able to support that with our evidence, with our expertise, with our case files, and as I said, hopefully soon.
Thank you very much for that, Robert Petit, head of the International Impartial and Independent Mechanism for Investigating Serious Crimes in Syria.